Okay, here you are in the middle of the ocean. It's endless, but you can't see it because there's a thick fog all around you. Dense clouds hide the huge but dim sun. Is it day or night? You don't know. There's only a gray haze around you. You're alone. Even if you try to swim down, after several hours, you still won't be able to see the bottom of the ocean. And that's a typical water planet for you. I know, sounded kind of dark, but it's not that bad. These water worlds are more interesting than they may seem, so let's take a look at them. The ocean planet is a planet that consists, as you might have guessed, mainly of water, ice, and maybe some rocks. Think of the Earth's oceans. Its horrifying depths, the Mariana Trench, and all that. And now, can you guess how much space all the water on Earth takes up? 0.025%, exactly. Now, just try to imagine a world of 40 to 60% water. If you dive in there, the depth can exceed 60 miles. Compared to that, the 6-mile depth of our Mariana Trench sounds like nothing. And yeah, the pressure there will be enormous. It can reach up to 20,000 Earth atmospheres. Very crushing. Now, it may sound scary, but it still would be great to find out more about these planets. Fortunately, according to scientists' calculations, there may be a lot of such planets in our galaxy alone. Well, you don't have to go far. You can find these water guys even in our solar system. Not planets, of course, but moons. Jupiter has Ganymede and Callisto, and Saturn has Titan and Enceladus. The ocean can reach up to 30% of the mass of these moons, although it isn't clear whether these oceans are covered with a thick crust of ice. But we've discovered quite a few full-fledged ocean planets. This is because the conditions in which these planets may exist are very specific. For example, this planet should be somewhere 6 to 8 times larger than the Earth. If it's smaller, it'll have a rocky surface, but if it's bigger, it'll turn into a gas giant. At the same time, it must be in the habitable zone of its star. A little further, and the planet immediately turns into an icy giant or a cold super-Earth. So yeah, these guys are very picky. We first started exploring these planets back in the 1970s. However, since then, we found only a couple of them, but they're still very interesting. The first planet is Gliese 1214b. It was the very first ocean planet that we discovered. Initially, the scientists noticed only a small dim dot. This dot turned out to be the red dwarf star Gliese 1214, an unremarkable, completely ordinary star that's 5 times smaller than our Sun and 300 times dimmer. Scientists wouldn't worry about it at all, but back in 2009, they noticed that this star had one single planet, and this planet turned out to be quite strange. This super-Earth was 2.5 times bigger than our Earth and 6.5 times heavier, but at the same time, it had a very, very small density and about the same gravity as our planet. In other words, there were almost no rocks and metals on it, but it wasn't a gas giant either. So there was only one option left. It was covered in water and ice. And that's how we discovered the first ocean planet. Well, actually, we can only assume that it consists of water. That's what the mathematical calculations say. In reality, this planet is quite confusing. It's difficult to explore, and so far, scientists haven't been able to find anything there. No hydrogen, no helium, no water, nada. That's because the outer layer of the atmosphere of this planet is very dense, and it perfectly hides its composition. But even so, it's probably a water world. Gliese 1214b is very close to its star. It's only 0.014 astronomical units away, which is less than the distance between the Moon and us. The year there lasts about 36 hours, and the temperatures, to put it mildly, are just wild. Scientists suggest that the average temperature there can reach 250 to 535 degrees Fahrenheit. Woo, that's hot. Remember the creepy description from the beginning? Well, actually, spending time on Gliese 1214b would be a little different, more like swimming in a steam boiler. Because of such gigantic temperatures, the ocean on the surface will be constantly in a state close to boiling without actually reaching it. So, imagine that you're descending to the surface of this planet, flying through clouds of steam, and then you suddenly find yourself in the water. What? But when did it happen? Well, that's because the boundary between steam and water on Gliese 1214b will be very blurred. Of course, you won't be able to swim to the bottom of this ocean, but most likely, this bottom is covered with a very thick layer of so-called hot ice. It's like regular ice, but it doesn't really care about the laws of physics, so it just doesn't melt even at gigantic temperatures. And the thickness of this ice can reach as much as 3,000 miles. So that's it for the creepy Gliese 1214b, and not an Airbnb in sight. Now, although we can't 100% guarantee that it's a water world, we still have another candidate for this position. A newly discovered planet called TOI 1452b. This planet, located in the Dragon constellation, is almost 100 light-years away from us. It was discovered using the TESS telescope by a group of researchers from the University of Montreal. This planet also belongs to the class of super-Earths. It's 7 times larger than our planet, but 48 times heavier. Again, all this is at a very low density. Because of this, scientists have suggested that almost the entire planet consists of a giant ocean. Here, we were a little luckier. This world won't be just a giant puddle and some thick ice. On this planet, there's probably a rocky surface deep under the water, just like in a typical ocean. Don't get too excited though, this ocean will certainly be very different from what we're used to. TOI 1452b also orbits a small red dwarf, and not even one, but 2 at once. At the same time, if the previous planet was close to its sun, then this one, on the contrary, is very, very far away. It's 2.5 times farther from its stars than Pluto is from the Sun, and it moves at great speed. A year there lasts only 11 days. But we still don't know many things about this planet. We'll probably get some new information when scientists observe it from the James Webb Telescope. Well, that's it. Wait, did you expect something else? All right, I know the question that bothers you the most. Can there be life? Well, this is a difficult question. We all know that water means life, and besides, these planets are in the habitable zones of their stars. So, potentially, yes, there might be life. Not some full-fledged civilizations, of course, but bacteria, fish, and some creepy giant monsters. I mean, why not? However, this is very unlikely. Water alone isn't enough to create life, even though it's very important. There should also be some microelements and some minerals. And unfortunately, for most water planets, the composition will only consist of water and very thick ice. There won't be any minerals there. But don't give up. There's still some probability. First of all, there are meteorites and comets. They can bring the necessary minerals to the planet. The more often they crash into it, the higher the probability that they'll bring something like this into the ocean and thus create life. Secondly, TOI 1452b actually has these minerals. Yes, we don't know how deep the rocky bottom is located there. But if it exists, then surely something could have originated there. Let's hope that new research with powerful telescopes will allow us to find out the truth. And who knows? Maybe one day we'll be able to visit such a planet ourselves.
This planet is as light as that piece of fluff stuck to your sweater. In the scientific world, it's called WASP 193b, but let's call it the Cotton Candy Planet. It's located around 1,200 light-years away from us. Sure thing we'll never see it with our own eyes, but scientists say the Cotton Candy Planet is pretty much Jupiter's bigger, bouncier cousin, 50% more massive. It has an extremely low density combined with other factors, such as high temperatures and the infrared brightness of its host star, that make it look special. May I have a close-up here, please? Thank you. See how fluffy it is? Right now, you understand that it would be impossible to stand on its surface. Anyways, it's not often that you meet something like WASP 193b at a planetary party. Such planets might be fluffy because they're getting cooked by their parent stars, puffing up like a marshmallow that's seen too much campfire action. But the thing is, if you're that close to your star and mostly made of a hydrogen-helium cocktail, you're not gonna keep your puffiness for long. It's like trying to hold on to a balloon during a hurricane. Exoplanets like this fluffy guy here are pretty rare, but there's also WASP 10007b, And it looks squishy too. This one kicks back 200 light-years from us, and it chose the constellation of Virgo as its official residence. From some perspective, you might say that this planet is a copycat of Earth. It has helium, and its atmosphere contains sulfur dioxide. There's some resemblance for sure, but WASP 10007b has the density of a marshmallow. It means we can snoop through its atmosphere easier than we could with a heavyweight like Jupiter. Scientists were beyond surprised when they peered through their super space goggles, the James Webb Space Telescope's MIRI-cam. They spotted clouds made of the stuff that builds beaches, silicate, or as you might know it, sand. Imagine sandcastles in the sky. Those sound clouds are way up there in the penthouse suite of WASP 10007b's atmosphere, where the thermostat reads a breezy 932 degrees Fahrenheit. Normally, you'd need 1,832 degrees Fahrenheit to cook up this kind of cloud, so scientists are scratching their heads. How did those grainy puffs get all the way up there? Turns out, WASP 10007b might be running its own sandy water cycle, but with scorching silicates instead of H2O. Silicate particles get whooshed up from the sizzling lower levels by some sort of cosmic elevator, and then they cool off, party together as clouds, and sprinkle down a silicate drizzle. Nobody's packing sunscreen for this kind of sandstorm, though. Now look at this Kepler planet family located in the Kepler 51 star system. This cosmic three-pack hangs around 2,400 light-years away, looking huge but having the same density as your favorite snack. And it's cotton candy yet again. Scientists have been digging into what these space treats are made of. They now believe these puffball planets are big hydrogen-helium gas balloons with a generous smearing of methane haze. It also turns out these planets might be going through a cosmic downsize. Now, let's talk about a planet called Mascara 5b. Nope, it doesn't look like one of those cosmetic tubes from your mom's drawer. Scientists say it's one of the hottest planets ever discovered. They call it an ultra-hot Jupiter, showing off its impressive size, almost twice as big as our very own Jupiter. The dayside temperature is around a scorching 4,892 degrees Fahrenheit, while the night side hits 4,172 degrees Fahrenheit. No chance for any sort of life to survive out there. Actually, it's the second hottest nightside temperature ever recorded. To put it in perspective, the temperature of molten lava sits between 1,292 degrees Fahrenheit and 2,282 degrees Fahrenheit. So, the planet is a whole lot hotter than this scorching liquid rock. Its temperatures even surpass the melting point of most metals, which is around 3,632 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists mention that the insane heat on this planet is comparable to the exhaust of a rocket engine. Back in 2005, one famous star called... Wait, is that a name or a phone number? Whatever. So, turns out this star has a hot sister, and they have very similar names. This hot sister has B at the end. Well, this place looks like something from a sci-fi movie as it rocks a mesmerizing blue marble vibe, according to NASA. Such an appearance results from an atmosphere packed with hazy clouds laced with glass. The rain on this planet is glass-filled precipitation that likes to fall sideways, thanks to fierce winds blowing at a speed of 5,400 miles per hour. And yeah, it's the hot sister for a reason. Scientists have measured the daytime temperatures in this nightmarish world. It's around 1,700 degrees Fahrenheit. So when it rains on this planet, it's more like molten glass pouring down instead of your typical waterworks. You may not know it, but space is swarming with wasps. I'm talking about planets called WASP. Meet WASP 76b. This sizzling hot Jupiter-like planet is so out of this world, it rains iron at night there. The daytime side is no less of a fiery nightmare. The temperature there is about 4,300 degrees Fahrenheit. WASP 76b may be slightly smaller than Jupiter, but don't underestimate its grandeur. This fireball is located 640 light-years away from Earth. And its terrifying climate is the result of one seriously extreme orbit. You see, these gas giants are fittingly known as hot Jupiters. They like to keep it hot, so they orbit way too close to their scorching host stars. In this case, WASP 76b is nearly 10 times closer to its star than Mercury is to our Sun. That's way too close for comfort, leaving this rebellious planet tidally locked to the star. So, while one side basks in eternal light, the other is trapped in perpetual darkness. 55 Cancri E is a total gem. It's the raddest super-Earth ever spotted. Scientists initially believed it was packed with so much carbon that its insides were blinged out with diamonds, thanks to insane pressure and sizzling temperatures of 4,892 degrees Fahrenheit. But researchers put a dent in the diamond hype, showing there was actually less carbon than we had originally thought. Well, diamonds aren't actually that rare and expensive after all. They're just well marketed. The last destination for today is GJ 1214b, located 40 light-years away from Earth. This planet is like a supersized Earth, almost 3 times bigger in diameter and a whopping 7 times heavier. It orbits around its red dwarf star faster than you can finish a pizza, finishing a complete loop every 38 hours. But it's not just the planet's size or orbit that's out of this world. It's pretty hot out there, with mind-melting 450 degrees Fahrenheit. But the coolest thing is that this planet is practically drowning in water. The sizzling temperatures and crazy high pressures on GJ 1214b create some super cool materials like hot ice and superfluid water. Superfluidity is something that happens in liquid helium when it's almost as cold as it can get. On Earth, water totally missed the memo on being superfluid because it needs ridiculously low temperatures and off-the-chart pressures to pull off that trick. Still, there's not much use in superfluid water. Even if you try it, you'll just get dehydrated.
For thousands of years, people knew only about the planets Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, which they could see using simple telescopes, or even by the naked eye if conditions were good. But in the late 18th century, a famous astronomer named Sir William Herschel discovered a new planet that was icy blue in color. At first, people thought it was a star, but later they realized it was a planet. Today, we know it as Uranus, a planet that's more than 19 times farther away from the Sun than Earth. It's so far away that it takes Uranus 84 years to complete one trip around the Sun. This astronomer also discovered many other interesting things in space, like double stars and nebulae. In the mid-1800s, scientists noticed something pulled Uranus and strangely tugged its orbit. They thought there must be another planet out there, and they used math to predict where it would be. Finally, in 1846, they found Neptune using a telescope. It was too faint to see with the naked eye because it was too far away from the Sun. It was all so exciting. Who knows how many other planets could be there, lurking in the darkness of our solar system? Back in the mid-1800s, astronomers noticed something unusual was happening in the sky. A small rocky planet named Mercury was behaving strangely. It didn't follow the predictable orbit that was expected of it. One of the astronomers was a brilliant French scientist named Urbain Le Verrier. He came up with a theory that there could be another planet in our solar system no one had yet discovered. It would be located somewhere between Mercury and the Sun. This hypothetical planet, which he named Vulcan after the Roman god of fire, would have an incredibly hot surface, and it could be a potential explanation for Mercury's strange behavior. He never surely claimed Vulcan was really the one thing disturbing the orbit of Mercury. But, excited by the possibility of discovering a new planet, astronomers all over the world took the idea of Vulcan. For a planet that didn't exist, people committed to developing ideas and getting information about it. Some scientists didn't think it was likely that they had missed another planet as big as Mercury. It would have been hard not to see it by then. But there was a tiny chance of a smaller planet existing inside Mercury's orbit that was too close to the Sun, so no one could see it. One theory said it was about 13 million miles away from the Sun. Mercury is the planet with the most eccentric orbit in our solar system, but the closest point it gets to the Sun is about 28.5 million miles. This means Vulcan would be under half of that distance. The theory moved on, saying that if Vulcan existed, it would orbit the Sun every 19 days and 18 hours, and its path would be tilted about 12 degrees relative to the path of other planets in our solar system. Vulcan's position at its furthest point from the Sun would still be too close to the Sun to be seen with the naked eye, even during twilight. The only chance of seeing Vulcan would be during a solar eclipse, or when it passed in front of the Sun, which, as the theory said, would be 2 to 4 times a year. They had a theory that this mysterious planet was so close to the Sun that it could only be seen during a total solar eclipse when the moon blocked out the Sun's blinding glare. So, every time there was an eclipse, scientists would peer at the Sun, hoping to catch a glimpse of Vulcan. They were trying really hard, but no matter what, they couldn't find this mysterious planet. Some astronomers claimed to have spotted it during eclipses, but no one could ever confirm or find evidence for that. The theory of Vulcan was left waiting for some better times. Einstein had a different idea. You know about his theory of general relativity, right? That's where he claimed gravity wasn't some sort of natural force, but a result of space-time curved because of the presence of giant space objects, like planets and stars. Planets circle around the Sun in their usual orbit because space-time is curved. That means the planets are kind of falling towards the central star of our solar system. And Einstein tried to explain Mercury's unusual orbit using his own theory of relativity. Unlike the other planets in our solar system, Mercury's orbit wasn't that circular. Instead, it seemed to wobble slightly, as if there was an invisible force pulling it away. Einstein said this could be happening because the massive gravity of our Sun was actually curving the fabric of space-time around it. He claimed it's possible this changed Mercury's orbit a little bit. It took the scientific community a while to test this theory, but it eventually seemed like the most plausible explanation. Even though Einstein's theory gave us a more elegant explanation for Mercury's strange orbit, some scientists were still holding out hope for Vulcan. It was especially hard to let go of the idea of Vulcan because Mercury is also the planet that's really hard to see from where we're standing. But later, more and more scientists started accepting Einstein's theory above their imagination. And they would observe a total solar eclipse specifically to test Einstein's theory of relativity, not because of Vulcan. And Vulcan is not the only hypothetical planet everyone was talking about. In the newer age, some believe there could be a mysterious planet lurking in the outer part of our solar system. But this one is more likely to exist. No one has seen it directly yet, but computer simulations show this so-called Planet 9, or Planet X, is probably somewhere there beyond Neptune. Neptune and Planet X could be similar in size. Planet X could be 10 times more massive than Earth and circles around our Sun in an elongated shape, which is on average 20 times farther from the Sun than Neptune. A year there may last between 10,000 to 20,000 Earth years. By comparison, a year on Neptune lasts 165 Earth years. Something this big moving out there beyond Neptune could explain the unusual orbits of smaller objects in the Kuiper Belt. The Kuiper Belt is the area of our solar system beyond Neptune and where it orbits. And there are most likely many asteroids, comets, and some other smaller bodies there, mostly made of ice. There was another hypothetical planet called Nibiru. Remember those rumors that the world could end back in 2012? One of the popular scenarios was Nibiru, which some claimed would hit our home planet at the end of the year. Of course, nothing happened. We're still here, all set and good, but the idea of Nibiru seemed interesting. Stories started in the 1970s when a man named Zecharia Sitchin mentioned Nibiru in his book, The 12th Planet, claiming it orbits the Sun every 3,600 years. But there's no chance a planet with such an eccentric orbit wouldn't disrupt other planets in our solar system with its gravity. And if it was really coming that close to Earth in 2012, we were supposed to be able to see it with the naked eye. Some simple calculations showed Nibiru would have been nearly as bright as Mars at its dimmest and brighter than the faintest stars you see from a city. Oh well, maybe we'll have more luck in the next 3,500 and something years. In 2011, a comet named Elenin appeared that many people thought could be Nibiru. But when you're looking at comets and planets through a telescope, you see they appear differently. A comet has a coma, which is a gas atmosphere, together with a tail, something a planet doesn't have. Plus, this comet didn't slam into the Earth. It came too close to our Sun and fell apart. The leftover pieces will continue moving on their way to the outer solar system for the next 12,000 years.
Look at this giant donut-shaped region far away from Earth, beyond the orbit of Neptune. We're talking about a distance of more than 2.5 billion miles. It's the Kuiper Belt, and something eerie and bizarre is happening there. Dwarf planets and other small objects dwelling there refuse to cluster together. Instead, they follow particular orbits, which is weird. The reason might be a large, mysterious planet hiding beyond Pluto. Its gravity might be messing up the orbits of those Kuiper space bodies. Hear me out. Our solar system is made up of the Sun and everything that goes around it because of the star's strong gravity. This includes the 8 main planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. There are also smaller things like moons, asteroids, and Pluto. For a long time, people thought Pluto was the 9th planet, but when it was reclassified as a dwarf planet, scientists started looking for a new Planet X. Did they have a thing about odd numbers or what? And guess what? Some really think there might be a big, icy planet hiding far, far away beyond Neptune. This mystery planet is often called Planet 9. Now, Planet 9 hasn't been seen yet, but scientists think it might be out there because of some tiny, faraway space rocks called etnos that move following bizarre, confusing paths. These paths seem to be grouped together and tilted in a way that doesn't happen by chance. This could mean there's a hidden planet pulling them into place with its gravity. If Planet 9 is real, it might be 5 to 10 times heavier than Earth. It would also be super far away, hundreds of times farther from the Sun than Earth is. Over the years, scientists have guessed different distances for its orbit, and the newest guess in 2025 says it could be about 290 times farther from the Sun than Earth. There are some cool ideas about where Planet 9 came from. It might have started as a big planet that Jupiter once kicked out of the inner solar system, or it might have come from another star or even wandered around space on its own before getting caught by the Sun's gravity. Even though scientists have looked really hard using powerful telescopes, no one has actually seen Planet 9 yet, and so far, its existence is still just a theory. But recently, a group of researchers tried something clever. They used data from 2 special space surveys called ERAS and ACARI. These 2 looked at the sky in invisible light, far infrared, about 23 years apart, which is helpful because Planet 9 is supposed to move very slowly. The team focused on a special list from ACARI, which is better at finding faint, moving things in space. They guessed how bright Planet 9 might be and how fast it might move based on how big, far away, and cold it could be. Then they looked for matching blips in the sky that were seen by both ERAS and ACARI, but not in the exact same spot. That's because a real planet would have moved a little over 23 years, and they indeed found 13 possible matches that could be Planet 9. Their estimations were based on how far away the object seemed to be. 500 to 700 times farther from the Sun than Earth, and how heavy it might be, which is 7 to 17 times Earth's mass. After looking very carefully at all the images, they narrowed it down to one really good candidate. The two detections weren't in the same spot in both surveys, and the way they appeared in the Akari map matched what you'd expect from a slow-moving object. It showed up on one date and wasn't there 6 months earlier. But of course, there was a catch. Apparently, the old data isn't good enough to figure out the exact path of the potential planet. So, the team wants to do new follow-up observations using a special camera called DCAM, which is really good at spotting faint, moving objects. That way, they can find out if this candidate is really Planet 9. Additionally, it can help us learn more about how our solar system works and how it formed. If Planet 9 is ever discovered, it would totally change the way we understand our solar system. It could explain why some far-out space rocks in the Kuiper Belt tilt weirdly. The thing is, most planets go around the Sun in a flat-ish circle, but those faraway objects are tilted about 20 degrees. Planet 9 might be the reason why. Next, we'd probably find out why those tilted objects seem to point the same way. Their orbits are grouped together in one direction. A big hidden planet's gravity could be hurting them like sheep. There are also some strange tilted objects super far away. They don't make sense unless something big, like Planet 9, is tugging on them. A few space rocks orbit the Sun backward between the big planets, which is kinda the wrong way. That's super weird unless something big is messing with them. Some far-out Kuiper Belt objects keep crossing Neptune's path and haven't been flung away. That's because Planet 9 might be helping keep their orbits stable over a long time. Another cool thing is that if Planet 9 existed, it would be a super-Earth, a kind of planet we see a lot around other stars, but we don't have in our solar system yet. So finding one here would make our solar system more like the others out there. Throughout history, people have been wondering if there could be hidden planets far beyond Neptune, even before Pluto was found. Back in 1880, a guy named George Forbes guessed there might be two unknown planets way out there, one about 100 times farther from the Sun than Earth, and the other about 300 times farther. He thought these mystery planets might be pulling on some comets and changing their orbits, kind of like how Jupiter does with the comets near it. In 2004, scientists found a weird little world called Sedna. It had a strange path around the Sun that didn't seem to be affected by any of the known planets. Its closest point to the Sun, called perihelion, is way too far for Neptune to be the reason. This made some scientists wonder if Sedna got pushed into its path by a hidden planet, maybe even something as big as Earth or bigger. Others thought maybe it was a star that flew by a long time ago, or another star that formed near ours. Then, in 2014, another odd object was discovered. It had a very similar orbit to Sedna, which made people even more suspicious that there could be something big out there messing with their paths. This kicked off a new round of the Planet X or Planet 9 hunt. At a meeting in 2012, a scientist named Rodney Gomez said that maybe there was a big, hidden planet around 1,500 times farther from the Sun than Earth. He thought it could explain the orbits of other odd objects, like some far-out comets and centaurs, small bodies that wander among the giant planets. At that time, those who supported the Planet 9 theory believed that if it existed, it would move around the Sun in a huge, stretched-out circle called an elliptical orbit. It would be about 400 to 800 times farther from the Sun than Earth is, about 13 to 26 times farther than Neptune. If it really had that kind of orbit, it would take around 10,000 to 20,000 years to go around the Sun just once. Plus, if it indeed orbited the Sun, it wouldn't follow the same flat path as the other planets. Its path would be tilted by about 15 degrees to 25 degrees. The farthest point in its orbit, called aphelion, would be in the direction of the Taurus constellation. As for the closest point, it would point towards Serpens, Ophiuchus, or Libra. As for the composition of Planet 9, it would probably be a lot like Uranus or Neptune. It would have a thick atmosphere made of hydrogen and helium, and it would be super cold, -375 degrees Fahrenheit. Its core would be made of iron, and its middle layer would be full of rock and water ice. At the same time, if the planet was smaller and denser, then it might be more like Earth, with a rocky surface instead of a gassy one. According to a scientist named Mike Brown, if Planet 9 was real, a space probe would reach it in about 20 years if we used a powerful slingshot path around the Sun. Guess the riddle. It's moving at 5 miles per second. It makes one circle around Earth every 90 minutes. Within 24 hours, it sees 16 sunrises and sunsets. It also observes many strange phenomena, like gigantic bizarre symbols written in a desert. You probably already know what it is. The International Space Station. There are a lot of things we don't notice here on Earth, but if we step back, we'll see some pretty strange stuff happening on the planet. Most often, astronauts notice these mysterious things, and recently, they've seen weird patterns in a deserted area of Tunis. They aren't like fake crop circles that were popular in the early 2000s. You may think these strange hieroglyphs have an unearthly origin. They're quite large. That's how astronauts could see them from space. But why doesn't anyone talk about them on Earth? Do Tunisians know what's going on there? In many movies and in real life, secret organizations hide information about some kind of extraterrestrial things. You might have also noticed that most videos about strange phenomena taken by eyewitnesses have terrible quality, as if the operator is always shooting on an old VHS camera. But in the case of the ISS, everything is different. The mysterious symbols were captured on a 4K camera mounted on board the ISS. And the owner of this camera is Sen Corporation Limited, which provides video streaming from space to individuals and businesses. And do you know what the principle of this company is? They strive to make space data publicly available and useful. Thanks to the high quality of the video and open access, the mystery of extraterrestrial technology has been solved. Do you know what it is? Think for yourself and see other strange phenomena that astronauts have observed. Perhaps the following riddles will lead you to the right answer, but if you fail, you will get the answer at the end of the video. Meet NASA astronaut Matthew Dominic. He likes to take pictures from the ISS and post them on the internet. After 6 months of working in Earth's orbit, he shared a mysterious phenomenon with us. You can see most of Asia from an altitude of about 250 miles. There are flashes of lightning, city lights, and a strange red glow. Dominic admitted that he wasn't sure about its origin. Considering the glow is so visible from such a long distance, this must be something big. Try to guess. Here's a clue. Perhaps squids are guilty of this strange visual effect. But no, it's not a giant glowing kraken. You'll find the answer at the end. The following phenomenon occurred not on Earth, but above it. Take a look at this golden red glow in the atmosphere. The ISS took this photo while flying over the Pacific Ocean, northeast of Papua New Guinea. If you think it's pulverized gold, then you're wrong. This is probably the most difficult puzzle in this video. Do you know anything about chemistry, physics, and astronomy? If not, then you're unlikely to answer this riddle. Wait, you'll get the answer soon. This picture was taken by an ISS astronaut during a flyby over Southeast Asia in 2021. 2 shimmering blue balls of light appeared in the dark and slightly ominous atmosphere of Earth. One was flickering over the Gulf of Thailand, and the other was glowing near the South China Sea. The difficulty in solving this phenomenon lies in the fact that not one, but 2 scientific phenomena are taking place here. Lightning, reflection of moonlight from ice particles, spaceships from another planet. What do you think it is? Do you want to get an answer? Wait a bit. So the first mystery is those strange hieroglyphs in the desert. Do you have any ideas? I must warn you though, The truth about this phenomenon may disappoint you a little. These are not symbols made by an extraterrestrial civilization. These are agricultural patterns. Someone just plowed the land or planted vegetables. It doesn't seem strange from below, but from above, it looks like an unknown language or a cipher. So, the next mystery is the red light. Some internet users said it could have been an erupting volcano. Others suggested that commercial vessels emit a red light to catch squid. Fishers use this color to attract sea creatures. So maybe it was a hunt on the giant squid after all. And one user claimed that those red lights belonged to a giant fishing fleet. And its red light can be seen in the nighttime images taken by some satellites. It's time to deal with the most difficult mystery, the golden red glow. If you understand the atmosphere of our planet and know about the chemical interaction between the elements of the periodic table, then you've probably guessed what it is. If not, then here's a simple answer. A golden red glow appears as sunlight interacts with molecules and atoms in the Earth's atmosphere. Now let's take a closer look at this. Ultraviolet light falls on molecules such as oxygen, ozone, sodium, and nitrogen. Light stimulates these cells, meaning it charges them with energy during the day, causing them to separate and excite the electrons inside. Then, these charged particles collide with each other and release energy. As a result of this process, a mesmerizing glow appears. It's mostly oxygen that gives the red color to this glow. The golden light appears because of sodium particles. Scientists divide this phenomenon into 3 categories: day glow, twilight glow, and night glow. Depending on the illumination of the atmosphere by sunlight and the position of the observer, these lights have unique characteristics. Such a fascinating phenomenon not only shows the visual aesthetics of our planet, but also helps scientists better study the upper atmosphere. And finally, the answer to the 4th riddle. We have 2 blue lights. Both have different natures. Let's deal with the first one. The blue light over the Gulf of Thailand was caused by a thunderstorm. But it's not that simple. If you observe Earth from the ISS, you may not always see lightning flashes during thunderstorms because they're usually hidden by clouds. This time, the photographer from the ISS was lucky. There was a gap in the clouds. Lightning illuminated the surrounding walls of this cloud and produced this blue glowing ring. Do you know that a blue thunderstorm is not the most unusual phenomenon in the sky? Red lightning flashes can appear too. They're called sprites. They occur above clouds during an ordinary lightning strike and extend to a height of up to 10 miles. That's why it's hard for us to see them from the ground. Sprites can also extend upward along the trajectory of a narrow cone, like fans. And at this moment, they can glow with blue light. Another cool phenomenon is called elves. These are giant expanding flashes of light in the shape of a pancake. They can reach thousands of miles across and also appear during thunderstorms. Seeing these pancakes is pretty difficult because they exist for less than 1,000th of a second. But what about the second glow? Things get a little more complicated here. The reason for this blue flash is the moon. It seems to us that our satellite glows by itself at night, but it just reflects the sunlight that falls on it. The light from the moon passes through the atmosphere, and the magic happens. We see a blue sky during the day because the sun's rays get scattered in the atmosphere. It's as if they pass through special filters. The light reflected from the moon is also scattered, passes through these filters, and turns blue. But why don't we see this glow at night? Because it's too weak compared to the daytime glow of the sun. But from a certain angle and at a certain height, this blue moonlight can be seen. Astronauts from the ISS managed to catch this scattering. It's like turning the sky blue, only a smaller version. But why blue? Light consists of different colors, and each of them has its own wavelength. Blue has the shortest wavelength, so it's the easiest to scatter.
Look up.
The sky is dark, seemingly lifeless. But then, you notice something that wasn't there before. A bizarre, almost invisible light illuminates the previously black space. It's too late to run. You're both lucky and unlucky at the same time. You're witnessing the awakening of a giant, previously dormant black hole. Is it going to swallow both you and our world? Supermassive black holes, huge space objects millions of times heavier than our Sun, live in the middle of most galaxies. But they're really hard to see or study. Most of the time, they sit quietly and don't do much for a long time. That's what was happening with a giant black hole in a faraway galaxy. This galaxy is 300 million light-years away from us, in a part of the sky called Virgo. For many years, the black hole there wasn't doing anything exciting. It was quiet and resting. But in late 2019, something strange happened. The galaxy suddenly got much brighter. It started flashing a powerful X-ray light. It was something scientists hadn't seen there before. This surprised astronomers, so they started watching it closely. After a few years of studying it, scientists have concluded that the black hole has likely woken up from its quiet state and become active. Now, the middle of the galaxy is really bright. It might mean the black hole is pulling in material and producing lots of energy. Astronomers even gave this black hole a fun nickname, Ansky. And the coolest thing about all this is that it's the first time we're watching a supermassive black hole switching to an active state in real time. Scientists at the European Southern Observatory in Germany were the first to notice something strange. They used special space telescopes, like NASA's Swift and another one called eROSITA, to look for X-rays coming from Ansky. At first, they didn't see any. Then, in February 2024, another group of scientists noticed something new: bursts of X-ray light coming from Ansky. And these bursts weren't random. They happened almost like clockwork, at nearly regular times. This kind of flashing has a complicated name, quasi-periodic eruption, or QPE if you want to make it short. It's when a black hole suddenly flares up with a burst of energy, but only for a short time. And this is the first time anyone has seen a QPE in a black hole that was waking up after being quiet for so long. These kinds of events are also super rare. Scientists only found the first QPE in 2019, and they've only seen a few more since then. No one knows exactly why they happen, but watching Ansky might help scientists learn more about how black holes behave and grow. One important tool they used was the XMM Newton Space Telescope. It's the only one that can see the very faint background light between the flashes. By measuring how dim Ansky gets between bursts, scientists could figure out how much energy the black hole sends out during each flare. You might know that black holes have super strong gravity that pulls in anything that gets too close, even stars. If a star gets caught, it can be stretched and torn apart. The pieces of the star form a super-hot glowing ring that spins around the black hole. This ring is called an accretion disk. Scientists think that the quick flashes of X-rays, QPEs, might happen when something, like a star or even another small black hole, interacts with this spinning disk. QPEs have sometimes been linked to stars being destroyed. But with Ansky, there's no sign that it destroyed a star. So scientists started thinking of other reasons. Maybe the disk around Ansky is made from gas that the black hole grabbed from nearby space, not from a torn-up star. And maybe something small, like a planet or a star, is passing through this disk over and over again, shaking it up and making it flare with bright X-ray light each time. What makes Ansky really special is how big and powerful its bursts are. According to a student at MIT who worked on the study, Ansky's X-ray bursts last 10 times longer and are 10 times brighter than normal QPEs. Each burst gives off 100 times more energy than other ones scientists have seen. And the timing is strange too. Ansky has a pattern of flashing about every 4.5 days. It's the longest wait time between flashes ever seen. These strange features are making scientists rethink how QPEs happen, and what causes them. Sadly, we don't have enough data yet to know for sure. Astronomers need to watch more of these events to figure it out. Now, you might be wondering how scientists even find black holes. After all, they capture everything, even light. Indeed, these space monsters are really hard to see. They're basically invisible. But scientists pay attention to what's happening around them. It can be glowing gas and dust somewhere in space. The thing is, black holes often have a spinning ring of gas and dust around them, called an accretion disk. This ring gets super hot and shines in X-rays and other kinds of light, which telescopes can spot. It can also be moving stars. Big black holes, like the one in the middle of our Milky Way galaxy, have such strong gravity that they make stars orbit around them. Scientists watch these stars move in special patterns and prove that there's a giant black hole hiding there. This discovery won a Nobel Prize in 2020. They're also on the lookout for ripples in space, because when giant objects like black holes move or crash into each other, they send out gravitational waves. Scientists have built special tools to feel these ripples and learn more about black holes. And finally, it's bending light. Black holes have so much gravity they can bend light from stars behind them, like a cosmic magnifying glass. This trick, called gravitational lensing, can help scientists find black holes that are hiding all by themselves. Now, you should keep in mind that, unlike some stereotypes, black holes are not wormholes, magic tunnels that take you to other places in space or different universes. Once you get into one, there's no way out or to the other side. Neither are black holes some kind of space vacuum cleaners. They don't go around swallowing everything they come close to. If you're far away, their gravity is just like that of any other object with the same mass. The black hole that's closest to us on Earth is called Gaia BH1. It's about 1,500 light-years away. As for the farthest black hole we know about, it's located in the middle of a faraway galaxy 13 billion light-years away. The largest black hole we've seen is called TON 618. It's 66 billion times heavier than the Sun. And the smallest black hole is just 3.8 times heavier than the Sun and sits next to a star. By the way, all black holes spin or turn really fast. The fastest one spins over 1,000 times every second. Plus, big black holes in the middle of galaxies can shoot out particles at super high speeds, almost as fast as light. If something falls into a black hole, spaghettification occurs. This object gets stretched out in space like a noodle because of the black hole's immensely strong gravity. And speaking of gravity, if our Sun were replaced with a black hole that had the same mass, Earth and the other planets would still orbit it in the same way. The gravity wouldn't change just because it's a black hole. Scientists have discovered two main kinds of black holes. The first are called stellar mass black holes, and they're usually about 5 to maybe 50 times heavier than our Sun. The second type is supermassive black holes, which are incredibly huge. Some of them 100,000 times to even billions of times heavier than the Sun. There might also be middle-sized black holes, kind of like the in-between type, but no one has found one for sure yet. Stellar mass black holes can form when two neutron stars smash into each other. Also, two smaller black holes can join together and make a bigger one. That's one way black holes grow. But supermassive black holes are still a big mystery. Scientists aren't exactly sure how the universe creates black holes that large.